Welcome back. On today's Dungeon Design Drive-By, we take a look at Act 3 of a one-shot I like to call Sphinx Gate. I'm Mark William, and you're watching By DND. After narrowly escaping the clutches of the giant winged beast, you quickly descend down the wall of unforgiving height. On the other side, you see an expansive city in ruins. It's deserted, but at its center stands a grand temple with a large creature that you can identify as a sphinx. It appears to be asleep. As you reach the bottom of the wall and approach the temple, you see 4 golden flames on a raised stone dais. A strange passage is written above the flames. Alright, that's the setup for Act 3, Riddles at the Gate. The players have just crossed the wall of unforgiving height and will find themselves in this abandoned city, this ancient city, and their attention will be drawn to this great temple in the center of the city with the Sphinx who is sleeping on top of the temple. If the players make a nature check on the beast, they would find out it's a Gynosphinx, which is a female sphinx that thrives on riddles and puzzles and intellectual games and so forth. So that might give them a clue as to what's next. Now, I also mentioned the golden flames that are on the pedestal, so hopefully that's where what they're going to first run into. Now, I like this idea of the Sphinx Gate actually being a real Sphinx Gate, unlike the first gate the players met when they battled that champion and went through the gate. Many people called that the Sphinx Gate. So that's why I kind of like when they get to Act 3, they find out that no, there's actually a Sphinx Gate. There's going to be a crazy encounter with a Sphinx and lots of riddles and games. So after you read the setup, the players are going to be drawn to the golden flames, and that's where the twist is. Your party approaches the stone dais and reads the strange passage. It's written in common and is a riddle of some kind. It reads,
I am the Sphinx, forever do I sleep. Always in a dream, my gate is mine to keep. Unless of course you know, 2 + 2 is 4, a special number for a Sphinx that wakes me up once more. 4 golden flames, 4 barren pillars, 4 fires in the clouds, 4 pillars all in order.
Okay, the riddle was the twist there. So the idea being that there are 4 golden flames, 4 barren pillars, 4 fires in the clouds, and 4 pillars all in order, meaning each one is a number. There's 1 fire here, 2, 3, and 4. So the idea is that the players are going to carry these magical golden flames. Again, I would give the wizard maybe an advantage in this sense that he carries them without having to make a save for damage, whereas maybe the warrior and rogue will have to make constitution checks in order to carry the flames okay. So this test, the wizard will come and they have to light the pillars in the order according to the riddle. So 1 fire, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So once they solve that one riddle, then these fires will extinguish and go out. Maybe a couple flames will fall down, revealing a new riddle on the wall in front of the Sphinx Gate, which will become the lead to get them throughout the rest of this encounter. So, keep a few fires on 1 pillar next to the Sphinx, because it'll be very important. If the players ever put the flames in the wrong order, then this tower is going to cast basically fireball on anything that's on that center platform. So, that's the consequence for failing the puzzle. But our heroes successfully did it, so now we're going to give them the lead, which is another riddle, and we'll get to that next. You light the last pillar with a golden flame, but alas, the Sphinx does not awaken. Instead, a magical script appears on the stone wall. that protects the entrance to the gate. It reads,
I am the Sphinx, a tired soul. That puzzle was a game, a jest, nothing more. To speak your peace and hear my roar, bring me gifts if you seek the gate. A test of strength and skill lies beyond each door.
Alright, the riddle on the wall is the lead, basically directing the party to go through either this door or this door. Now, those doors would have been locked until that first puzzle was solved. So, the lead is basically telling the players to go get these gifts, go through these doors to appease the Sphinx. They're actually going to bring an item back to this little table and this little table. That's where they're going to basically place the gifts that they get for them in these two challenges. So as you can see, I added these boards. I would have kept these secret from the players and just added them depending on which door they went in. But basically, the one door would have some riddle on it now that it's unlocked. That would be centered towards speaking about strength or something to do with the warrior's abilities. And I'll explain that challenge in a minute. If they chose to go to this door first, there would be a riddle on there explaining the room, which is more of a dexterity type of challenge that was more suited for the rogue. Okay, now the party can go together. That has nothing to do with anything, but basically they are going to choose a door and first read the riddle. It'll give them some clue to how to solve this puzzle. Now, depending on the classes in your game, you might have to change that riddle. So they're going to enter into the room, and on this strength room, basically, the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to have to make a dexterity saving throw of some kind because these archers are going to basically unload a volley of arrows at them from the towers. But after reading the riddle, they would have realized that there is some way to pass this challenge, which is basically to run, hopefully dodge a few arrows, come to this crank here, and together, you would be making a strength check or with help probably from the other player to crank the gate sufficiently enough to raise a wall out of the ground as protection. So I use these black markers to represent sort of like a crack. That again, the riddle would have told them about. The wall raises, and basically they make another strength check, probably higher difficulty, and another one will raise up. They'll make another strength check to see if they can raise all three walls, which will help them get to the gift, which I just made this little anvil to give to the Sphinx to help him wake up so that he can get through the gate. So if they fail any of those strength checks, though, basically you're going to have additional guards. Maybe roll 1d4 for each tower, and guards are going to start pouring out of the castle to start pressing the heroes. Or as they're moving in, they're going to start pressing them to give them a hard time. And I would give the guards maybe some type of shove ability where they can push, and that's going to be their general strategy. Push the players out of the wall so that the archers can fire at them. Once the players maneuver their way through and get to this safe space, I use these different colored tiles to represent like safe spots where arrows can't reach you. Again, I would in some way indicate that to the players, and then they can grab the anvil and basically retreat from the room, hiding from the walls. If they kill the archers in some other way, that's fine too. If they do just manage to combat their way through it, if they do just go for a run and never deal with the lever or solve the riddle in any way, then that would be that. So that's sort of the strength-based check. They would bring their anvil back, and then proceed to the other door. The Sphinx needs 2 gifts. So, this door again, the riddle would be focused on elements of this room. There's going to be locked doors, fires, jumps over precarious stones, gold that you don't want to disrupt. Needs to be silently stalked through. Think of Aladdin. When he goes to the Cave of Wonders, basically. So, they go through this door. Now, this is centered around the rogue's abilities, sleight of hand to unlock the door, and he's gonna have to make athletics checks, dexterity checks to jump the 5-foot gaps. Oh, there's a fire over there. Well, again, this is where the whole team can help. Maybe you have someone who has Ray of Frost, could shoot the fire out of his way, or they figure out something, or he just takes damage and goes for it. Makes it over here, unlocks another door. We'll proceed to this spot, which again, the riddle on the door, depending on the class, would have had, or knowing that I had a rogue, when the rogue gets here, there would be some clue about he needs to silently go through the gold to get the treasure. Only take this, don't get greedy. So he'd have to make a stealth check. And again, any player could do it, but it's suited for the rogue to do it. And as always, if the players figure out a different way to solve the puzzle, then let them do it. You know, depending on your players, maybe they have a fly spell and they can just fly right across the gap. Well, that's just the way it is, okay? So those things might happen depending on the levels of your character, so you might have to make those adjustments. But basically, once they pass those tests, they are going to return, they're going to place the items on the 2 altars, return to the main platform, and basically this wall that was protecting the gate is going to go away with the riddle. And now finally, the Sphinx awakens and actually a throne materializes on the platform. And at this point, the Sphinx is awake. You've basically proven your worth. You've solved some challenges. You solved the riddles. But there's one final test before you get through the gate. So the Sphinx is going to then call on basically each player to individually answer a riddle. So, you know, he might say, or she might say, one with great intellect, take a seat and answer this riddle. So the players are going to be like, well, I guess the wizard is the most intellectual, and like, it can only be one at a time. Okay, so you have to be sure to keep the players, it has to be whoever's in the chair can answer, no table talk in this case, because they are going to be like real riddles that I've created. So if they fail, back to our flaming tower, if they fail the riddle, they can't figure it out, this is going to cast Fireball and basically incinerate that whole square. If the player survives, they can ask again. And at this point, I might give them an intelligence saving roll. Since the riddle was geared towards the wizard, that might help them solve it if they really can't solve it, because it will be a real world riddle. So maybe give them a check. And if they pass the check, at that point, they can proceed. So if the wizard player does know the riddle, then again, this defensive line will go away, and the next person will be challenged. You know, now the warrior must step up, take a seat, answer the riddle. So the Sphinx is basically calling out each person, and if they fail to answer and then fail checks that might help them solve the riddle, then the fireball is just going to keep basically firing at them. So if they die or if they can't take any more damage, someone else can sit in and try and solve their riddle. And if they do, it's fine. So again, any riddle can be solved by any character, but the Sphinx is giving them a chance to use their specialties. So once all 3 are solved, the Sphinx gate opens. The Sphinx has had its fun with the players. They're going to thank the Sphinx again, who's not really intentionally trying to attack or be evil. It just enjoys these games. Temples are their lairs in many ways for Sphinxes, and they just like to play. And these Gynosphinxes like to play games and so forth. So basically, once the final riddle solved, the Sphinx is satisfied. There'll be like a little bridge of light, and the players will then proceed through the true Sphinx Gate, and who knows what they find out on the other side. In this case, this whole one-shot is very introductory. It could lead your players on to a real adventure in a different plane, in a different world. Maybe it brings them back to their original world. It is sort of open-ended. a cliffhanger type of ending. So they still defeated the Sphinx in many ways, though, and got through the portal. And that would be it for the Sphinx Gate. So I really wanted it to be puzzle intensive, riddle intensive. I did write a few riddles that I won't read here, but perhaps I'll put in the comments. But other than that, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this dungeon design drive-by. Please like, subscribe, comment below, and we'll see you next time for another one. So until then, remember, all D&D, all day long, all night till dawn.